Hello, my name is Harry Tambuatco. We're back. We're discussing the federal parliamentary proposal by government to the legislature, which we hope will eventually lead to what we call the federalism in the country. We have with us, Yusek J.V. Hinlo, who is with the DILG, and you have Bobby Brillante, who is the spokesperson. Let's go to the next slide as we go along. The unicameral federal parliament. The members of the federal government are elected by the registered voters in each congressional district of the country as presently constituted. The term of the members of the parliamentary is 5 years. There shall be sectoral members of the parliament who shall be elected from among the members of sectors that they seek to represent. The sector shall be the marginalized sectors such as labor, youth, women, farmers, OFWs, indigenous people, and the elderly. Every sector is entitled to only 3 members of the parliament, and each of them should come from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Each and every member of the parliament shall be holder of at least a college degree and should also possess those qualifications for members of the present Congress of the Philippines as provided by existing laws. Does this mean Joseph Estrada can no longer be part of parliament?
He can be.
Hindi pwede, wala namang college eh. Hindi na pwede, eliminated na. Ikaw naman.
No, I think we discussed it. There was discussion that those matters can be restudied because we want...
But why? Why do we want to... Why? Dapat dito nga, lagay pa nga. Pag hindi ka pumasa sa kolehiyo, tertiary education, hindi pwedeng tumungtong ka lang. 1 year, 2 years. Para gaya ni Noy Noy, hindi papasa. Yeah. Hindi pwedeng pumasok sa parliamentary. In other words, kailangan edukado ka up to the tertiary degree. Correct, Bobby?
Yeah, actually, there are degrees of qualification there. The reason why we put the college degree requirement for members of the parliament is that legislating is no joke. You have to be competent not only in public speaking but in writing and in thinking.
You mean no lapids? No lapids in government?
There won't be any more like that.
Or the current senatorial setup. In other words, porkit popular ka, hindi na pwede.
Yeah,
porkit mayaman ka pero wala ka naman pinag-aralan, hindi na rin pwede. Kung killer ka, pulis ka, at pumasok ka, or naging rebel ka, tumago ka sa gobyerno, tumago ka 2 taon, bumalik ka kasi naging popular ka, hindi na rin pwede. So kalahati ng Senado, hindi na pwede sumali sa parliament.
Yeah, you have to put emphasis on the competence when it comes to the parliament kasi gumagawa yan ng batas eh.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm just discussing it.
Yeah, no, I mean, but when it comes to the other officials like barangay, mayor, and governor.
Pwede sila doon.
Yes, but we require also some degree of competence like in the municipal and city mayors, I think we require at least a college level.
I didn't even take that up. Yusek, any comments on that slide, that past slide?
Anyway,
or bumbu lahat yun?
Anyway, this is a proposal coming from the group. So nothing is final. There are 2 schools of thought.
Don't change that proposal. There's one particular part I like.
But definitely the argument in favor of that is that those who are lawmakers should have that competence, educational competence. So if you really want to serve the country by becoming a legislator, finish your college.
Yeah.
So that's not that hard.
No, it's not difficult, and I don't think it's a tall order. Let's go to the next slide, please, Andy. We have the Prime Ministers and his deputies. The Prime Minister is the head of the federal government. The Prime Minister shall be assisted by 3 deputies, 1 for Luzon, another for the Visayas, and 1 for Mindanao, whom the President shall appoint from among the highly qualified Filipino intellectuals. I think those last 4 words are very important. The Prime Minister serves at the pleasure of the Parliament. The Prime Minister heads the cabinet ministers. Again, does this not create, gentlemen, a lot more power, more absolute for the Prime Minister naman, baliktad sa Presidente? Not necessarily.
Under the setup, the Prime Minister becomes the head of government. But again, his power can be checked because if he misuses power, the President can just dissolve Parliament or the Parliament itself by 2/3 vote can take out the Prime Minister. So it's a balancing
Check and
act.
balances, Lemon.
And it's a balancing act for the Prime Minister. He has to do his job correctly, and at the same time, he must have good relationship with his fellow ministers.
Bobby?
Yeah. Well, it's a situation when a prime minister is not performing in accordance with what has been promised during the campaign period, or involved in some misdeeds. He can be ousted from power by a vote of no confidence, just like in other congresses in other countries or other parliament. That's why it is very important that he performs very well, because the members of the parliament itself will be watching the
What if there's
prime
connivance
minister.
between the cabinet, the deputy ministers, the prime minister as one group vis-a-vis kalaban nila ang president, vice president? Hindi kaya may katapangan yung prime minister, deputy prime minister, tsaka kabinete niya versus the president?
The president can abolish parliament.
So in other words, pag binanatan mo ako, kaya kita banatan, and vice versa.
There's also a limitation to the power of the president. I think 1 year after election and 1 year before the next election, he cannot exercise that power to abolish parliament.
Meron mga
Then he
statutes.
can only do that once every year. So, kung nakalaban niya na, let's say, yung parliament, the president
Magantay sa
cannot do
1 year.
anything kung, let's say, within the 1 year before election, the next election, he has to wait.
Parang,
To put stability also to
tama,
government.
continuity.
And he cannot do it twice, 3 times a year. So talagang he should only exercise it if there's really a need. Because that power of the president can also be abused by him.
Andy, can we go to the next slide? On this slide, this is a little bit more complex. So there's a line that I drew. We will have to do another show just for budgetary support. And believe me, another show just for the federal and the state Supreme Court. Nevertheless, let me read it to you. The judiciary shall receive all the necessary budgetary support from the federal government and state governments to ensure its independence and integrity. In no case shall the previous appropriations for the judiciary shall be reduced in the succeeding General Appropriations Act. Then the composition of the federal and state Supreme Courts. The federal Supreme Court shall be composed of a Chief Justice and 14 Associate Justices, while the State Supreme Court shall be composed of a Chief Justice and 6 Associate Justices. Paano po dito naman yung Court of Appeals? Pagdating sa regions or sa states, meron pa rin?
Tatanggalin natin yung Court
Wala
of
nang
Appeals.
appeals
Kasi
court.
the problem under the present judicial system
The whole judicial system
ng
is a
bansa.
problem.
Yes. It's like
It
this.
only
Harry.
takes 50 years to
Yes.
resolve anything.
It's like this. There are so many levels of appeal. From the municipal trial court, you go to the regional trial court.
Correct.
From the regional trial court, you
Appeals.
go to the Court of Appeals. And when you appeal it to the Supreme Court, there's only one Supreme Court trying to hear thousands of appeals. No? That's the present system. That's why matagal masyado yung justice system natin sa Philippines. Under the setup, yung criminal law, labor law, civil law, corporate law, the basic laws,
Sa
no?
state lang.
Up to the state level lang.
After the state, that's binding.
Yes. Then, silent tayo sa Court of Appeals because the state Supreme Court, no, they may add a Court of Appeals, or it could only be municipal trial court, regional trial court.
That's it.
And you can
Supreme
only
Court.
appeal it once to the state Supreme Court.
The state Supreme Court.
Now, on instances where the law covers constitutional issues
Or national, yes.
or national laws
Then it goes
covered,
up.
or laws that covers ambassadors, then you can question it to the federal Supreme Court. Now, for the idea of this setup is to improve the judicial system of the Philippines, wherein we fast track the judicial process and also give the people a chance to appeal. They could appeal 1 time or 2 times at the most if coming from the regional trial court. No? They can appeal 1 time to the state Supreme Court. if it's a small violation that is covered by the municipal trial court,
Tapos na yun.
they can appeal 2 times, regional trial court and state supreme court.
Paano? Kasi
Final
dito,
lang.
below 200,000 pesos, municipal court ka, above 200, court of first, regional trial.
I think that
Tatanggalin na yung-
it will depend on the new design. Meron ring level nga, let's say, if it's a civil case, pwedeng taasan nga. Pag 1 million below,
Ayun,
municipal trial
municipal
court na. Pag above 1 million, regional trial court.
So
It
the
will be
appeals court-
redesigned.
The appeals court will become the regional trial court.
Yes,
Parang
yes.
ganon.
We have to take out the Court of Appeals under the setup kasi masyado na pong mabagal.
Redundant.
And at the same time, with different state Supreme Courts, mas mapabilis. Kasi there will be, let's say there are 18 regions. Just imagine, there will now be 18 Supreme Courts to attend to the thousands of cases rather than having only one Supreme Court like what we're experiencing now.
Overload.
Yes, they're really loaded. No? We cannot fault the Supreme Court with so many cases being appealed yearly.
That sounds terrific. Bobby, you want to add something to that? We have 3 more slides.
What's important here is that as we decentralize the power of the national or central government, we also decentralize the functions of the Supreme Court. By having state Supreme Court in every state, many cases will stop there because the decisions made by a regional state Supreme Court becomes final and executory.
Tama yan. Let's go to the next slide, please. The Judicial Bar Council. There shall be a Judicial Bar Council in the federal and the state Supreme Courts composed of the following. The Federal Judicial Bar Council and each of the state bar councils shall be composed of 7 members from the integrated bar of the Philippines. The academe, business, women, farmers, labor, and youth sectors, all of whom shall be appointed by the President. I think I'll need some guidance there. And very quickly, let's finish the slide. Duties and responsibilities of the Judicial Bar Council. 1, to conduct screening of nominees for appointments to the federal and state Supreme Courts and to the various lower courts. 2, nominate to the President at least 3 names for each vacant position in the Supreme Courts and the lower courts. On the first part there, Attorney, maybe you could help identify that. So, all of whom shall be, ano itong the academe, business, women, farmers, labor, and ano alam nito sa mga rekomendasyon para be appointed by the President? Are these people even competent to make nominees for the integrated bar of the Philippines?
We can get nominees who are lawyers. Nominees who are lawyers. So, it's within the prerogative of the President. Coming from the labor sector, you get a lawyer from the labor sector. Coming from youth, you get a lawyer from the youth. The idea there is to include as many sectors as possible to come up to be members of the Judicial Bar Council so that when the Judicial and Bar Council nominates a member of the judiciary or the member of the Supreme Court, the President will be properly guided from as many sectors as possible. Rather than just get it all from one sector, which is, let's say, IBP.
Correct.
Puro sila lahat labor lawyers yung kukunin. So, the judge that will be nominated or the justice that will be nominated will only be one-dimensional. Unlike this one.
So to take out the politics, in other words. O pupunta, are they going to be confirmed pa by the parliamentary?
Sa tingin
In
ko,
confirmation?
wala na, no?
Wala na, straight na.
Yeah. Yung idea there is that pwede rin yan ma-misuse ng presidente kung i-appoint niya sa Judicial Bar Council, hindi abogado. Pero hindi naman siguro ganun yung presidente, no? So, this is one way na para mas maraming mapakinggan sa different sectors.
So it equalizes the responsibility of the IBP today, which can be biased. We're not saying it is, but it can be biased.
Let's just say this is designed so that the different sectors can have an opportunity. Kasi pwede pa rin maging bias kung puro taga Luzon yung kunin dito. So, we should have a president that would get representatives from different sectors coming from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So because that's the spirit of federalism and that's the spirit of inclusive government.
Ladies and gentlemen, we still have 3 more slides, but I don't think we can even tackle that because I'd like to reserve the last 4 or 5 minutes to some other questions I'd like to bring up very quickly. Why the president in Luzon? Why the legislative, the parliament, no, the judiciary in Cebu and in Mindanao or Davao will be and why particularly Davao? Because President Duterte comes from Davao. Can't it be Cagayan de Oro, General Santos, Surigao? Why can't it be some other area, Romblon or some other areas? Why specifically the 3 cities?
This is just a proposal. If the
Fair.
This is just a proposal.
Okay,
if
fair.
the Filipino people or the Constitutional Convention would have it change, you can have the executive place in Panay, place in Negros. You can have the judiciary place in Cagayan de Oro, place in Zamboanga. You can have the judiciary place in Metro Manila or place in Ilocos. So this is just real politics right now because our president comes from Davao. So it is suggested that one of the branches be placed in Davao. It is suggested also that Cebu City is known as the center of Visayas, although it will be contested by the other parts of the Visayas. It is just a suggestion.
Mandawi na lang, lalaban na eh.
Yes, it's
Di
just
ba?
a suggestion. If we will argue that in order to decongest the traffic in Metro Manila, why not put in Subic, the new Malacanang? I think Subic,
I like the idea.
yeah, Subic Chairman Martin Dino would like that. So that's the point.
Is it Subic? Isn't it Clark?
Subic.
Subic, which ay hindi sa Clark.
Yes.
Si SBM.
By the way, Martin Dino is part of the MRRD NECC.
Oh,
In fact,
okay.
he
Yes,
was
yes,
our
NVACC.
NVACC. In fact, he was our campaign manager during the last election.
All right. Ako, I have issues, gentlemen. The perception of the people towards federal, the interest at this point in time, as of now, seems to be vague because there is no understanding. It is brought out by their dissolution of the current system, which is the president and the unitary system. But if they go to it not understanding exactly the federal system, how do you expect to go around, which I know you're already doing, Bobby, you're going around the country. How do these people who have not that much of an education, if not only the academe that will be present, magtatanong yung mga asiwa na question?
Yeah.
Di ba parang ganun? How do they get to understand? Mainstream TV and radio and even print would rather talk about the terrorists and the Abu Sayyaf and even Donald Trump and Putin rather than to talk about something that is extremely important. How do you tackle that?
Yeah, that's why we're organizing different public fora in all areas, like in the business community, in the campus, in the student.
Walang tigil kayo, ikot kayo
Walang
ng ikot.
tigil yan. And all the local government units, that's why the ILG is the lead agency here, to make sure that all of this information is being disseminated. And we would like to trigger debates in every area, because the more you talk about it and the more you disagree on it, the more you learn about it. And we have disciples propagating the document, and we have the Speakers Bureau, we have the spokespersons, and now that we have this document with the imprimatur of the President, this is now the Bible that we are going to evangelize all over the country.
Last words, Attorney Emilio.
Well, the formula being advocated by the MRRD NECC in partnership with the DILG was already presented to the President. And he gave, as what Bobby said, his imprimatur to present it to the Filipino people. We are here, no? As to your question, how do the common tao should be made to understand this? The easiest presentation to this is that we should give the due resources to the provinces and not only center all government resources to Metro Manila. Because the Philippines is not only Metro Manila. We have the
Well, I
Visayas.
thought it was the whole country.
Yes.
I thought the world in the Philippines ended in Muntinlupa. Meron pa pala further than that, no?
That is correct.
Oo.
That's the first advocacy and the first topic that the president did when he went around the country. He was selling federalism. The second topic was peace and order. But his primary topic was federalism because he experienced in Davao and in Mindanao that there are many rebellions there. The NPAs, the Moros, they are looking for attention, rebelling. There's the armed struggle because Metro Manila or Malacanang was not giving attention to those areas.
Agreed.
So that's why one solution of Mayor Duterte then was to tell the Philippines that the provinces have specific needs that can be addressed only by the regions and by the states. So we go federal rather than for Metro Manila or Malacanang impose its own formula to Visayas and Mindanao.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have extended and overextended the show. We hope you've understood. I'd like to ask the group to help and support me in the next few weeks. I would like to continue in detail, this time specific topics on the proposed federal parliamentary government so that you and I may understand. Salamat po. Sana man po, keep watching, keep tuned, discuss the issues with others, and learn more about federalism. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much, Bobby.
Thank you.
Attorney. You are what you watch.